Hi, Yumi. It's a pleasure to have you on the Original You podcast, and we are now recording. So, I would love to know from you who you are, who you consider yourself to be in this moment. Not what you do necessarily or what other people think of you, but who you feel yourself to be.
So, hello everyone. I'm Yumi, and it is my honor to be on this channel. I would say, personality-wise, I'm very much of an Aquarius and an ESFP. So, I'm someone who's curious, spontaneous, and very driven by experiences. I'm not someone who likes to stay in a one place for too long, and I tend to follow what excites me more in the moment. I'm someone who loves exploring, whether that's through travel, meeting new people, or just putting myself in that unfamiliar situation. For example, I met you during this my solo trip to Iceland earlier this month. We randomly met each other at a restaurant in Reykjavik, and that kind of unexpected connection is something that I really do value. So I think at my core, I'm just someone who's always chasing new experiences and some meaningful connections.
Great. So, a few follow-ups. Number one, I have not actually had anyone previously tell me their astrological sign. And I
Oh,
should have because interestingly, I'm an Aquarian too.
oh,
Yes, so maybe there's something to that. We were both on solo trips to Iceland and
yes,
randomly
correct.
met and ended up having dinner together. The second and the third follow up is with regard to what you said about the unexpected,
Hmm.
that you are drawn in or attracted by the unexpected and that you value it. So I would ask you both, what is it about the unexpected that's attractive? And two, how do you determine what's valuable?
So I would say I am someone who loves exploring and putting myself into a more uncomfortable situation because I feel like that really makes me learn and explore and grow in a way. Oh, what was the question again? I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. You said that the unexpected
Oh yeah.
really attracts you. What
Mhm.
attracts you about the unexpected?
Not knowing what's gonna happen and constantly putting myself into an uncomfortable, unfamiliar situation. I feel like all these kind of unexpectedness is a really good time for me to explore who I am and to
Mhm.
learn about myself. And I feel like having that confusion is a part of the process as well. I tend to always explore and put myself in situation like that where I see it as an opportunity for me to learn about myself and to grow.
Right. Yeah. In situations where something isn't straightforward, and I guess surprises are like that. Randomness, surprise, resulting in confusion, you said. And from that, something happens. And that's exciting.
Yes. But I
Great.
guess
And
for people, because someone might not find it interesting because you're often exposed into a situation where you're not familiar with. So I guess it really depends on people. So for me, I find it exciting and I feel it like a learning experience, like a moment of time for me to learn about myself, whereas someone might not think about it that way.
and that comfort with confusion itself is something that's a part of you. That makes you you.
Yes.
The confusion maybe is a problem to solve and
Hmm.
gets you to clarity, possibly.
Yes, but I also feel like this is something that I was shaped into someone like this by movement, so across places, cultures, and experiences. I was born and raised in Taiwan and then moved to US for in middle school to study abroad at a relatively younger age.
Mhm.
And now that I'm actually based in Canada, Toronto, I feel like growing up, I was constantly navigating different cultures, language, and environments. And so I think this is what shaped me on how open and adaptable I am today.
Great. And how about this idea that you brought up of what you find valuable about something that's new or unexpected or surprising?
So I guess experiences, all kinds of experiences, no matter if it's a good one or a bad one, having all these kind of experiences would made up something that could be valuable for me. So as I for me, it's about a learning process. But like meeting you on my solo trip, or meeting anyone in my daily life, all these kind of connection is something that I find very valuable.
So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me that identity also determines value differently. So,
Hmm.
because of your background, which was very diverse, linguistically and culturally, you're you actually value, it seems to me, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but uh, a kind of open attitude to the world.
Yes, I
It's a
would say
kind of
that as well.
a kind of openness,
Hmm.
right? So now going into the second question, it's really how much of who you are was shaped by your human community? So family, friends, teachers, education, the actual cultures you come from, and the linguistic background. How much of that has a role to play in who you are now?
So I think especially me being in my early to mid 20s, a big part of who I am is shaped by the people around me. So as you mentioned, my family, my friends, and the communities that I've been part of. But at the same time, there's also that strong sense of self that I've been developing through all these kind of experiences. So as I did mention, growing up, my experience did change quite a bit. And, I learned how to fit into different environments and really understand different perspectives at a younger age, which I think all this period really shaped on how adaptable I am. And I would break it down into like different stage of life, I guess. So when I was in high school, I would say that my identity was mostly shaped by friends and family. Um, then when I moved to Toronto for university, it was a brand new chapter for me. So at first, I did not know anyone in the country. I have no friends, no families, which sort of like forced me to build my own community from scratch. And I would say during that period of time, friendship played a really huge role in shaping who I was because, those were the people who I rely on and grew while I was also figuring out that independence. And now that, graduating from school and entering the workforce, I feel like I've really come back to, recognizing how much my family has shaped me,
Mhm.
especially in the way I think to make decisions. So overall, I would say who I am is constantly evolving depending on the stage of life that I'm in. But every stage, the people around me have played a really important role in shaping that different kind of version of me.
And can you be more specific? When you were very young,
Hmm.
what were the main um, influences on who you became, and what were they like, and how did they impact you?
So I would say growing up, a couple family members had like a huge influence on me, especially my sister, my mom, and my grandma. These are people that I've always looked up, and in some way, I think I've subconsciously tried to become more like them growing up.
Mhm. And what were they like?
To me, they are some, really strong, independent women who are able to handle their work and their family at the same time.
And so did they have to do that? I mean, were they required by the culture to be that way, or were they different from the culture?
I guess who they are isn't really shaped by the culture, but it's also because of the environment that they were exposed in. So they were also someone who moved from countries to countries.
I see.
So, I guess you're being forced to because of the change in environment. You sort of like have to become more independent and carry on, more responsibility. But what's precious is that they were able to handle all these, and the family as well.
So isn't that kind of a double burden? I mean, it sounds like they had a lot on their plate and they had
Hmm.
to go above and beyond in order to be able to manage. And
Yes,
so
in a
they
way.
they they became incredibly strong because it was required
Mm.
by their circumstances.
I guess you can say it that way as well, but also having like they themselves having that ability, having that strength to do so is just something that I find very impressive.
Right? And then, so that was when you were very young.
Hmm.
And then when you got to high school,
When I got to high school, I would say it was my friend group because, um, these are the people who I have a group of friends who they really know what they wanted to do in the future. They have like a whole dream. They know what they wanted to pursue in the future. Whereas me back then, as a teenager, I am more of someone who tends to live in the present. So I don't think about my future that much. But having a group of friends like that really influenced me of, thinking of what I wanted to do in the future. So what I wanted to become or what I wanted to pursue. Although I may not have like a big dream like these people, but it's a process of like figuring out what I wanted in the future. So like knowing more about myself, but having all these kind of mindset was influenced by the friend group because they clearly know what they want.
great. And so that was high school.
Hmm.
And then you got to university.
Yes. University, it was also like a stage of life where I was trying to build my own group, my own little community because I did not know anyone here. So everything was from scratch. Like I don't have any connections. So, university was a time that I find it really interesting because in school there are people from all different kind of background, and you get to meet so many people that have like a very diverse background. So people, you may not be able to have connection with growing up like in my little community in high school or like in elementary school. Um, so I guess that was a stage of time where um, friendship also played a huge role on who I was because these are like the people I rely on and grew up together with throughout that 4 years in school.
So geographically, did you just grow up in the US, I believe in California,
Mhm.
and then Toronto?
So Taiwan first, I was born and raised in Taiwan.
Okay,
So Taiwan first, and then middle school, US, California, and then university, Toronto. Like I'm here, went to Toronto.
right. And so which languages did you have most comfortable with and were spoken around you?
I would say my mother tongue language is Mandarin. So I used to be most confident in speaking Mandarin, but now that I've been in North America for more than 10 years now, um, I'm also pretty confident in speaking English as well. But when I speak in these two languages, I feel like I'm a different person. Like I feel like it shows a different personality of myself.
Right. So you might answer these questions quite differently in Mandarin than you are
Maybe.
doing in English. It's too bad that I
Yes.
don't speak Mandarin, although I understand some of it.
Ooh. I
Yeah.
guess it's also like a mixture of both because now that I don't live in Asia anymore, um sometimes when I'm in a conversation with people in Mandarin, there are always time where there's some specific words that I feel like would uh be a better use in English. So there's like specific terms or phrases that I think would express myself better if I were to use those words in English. Whereas when I'm speaking in English, when I'm having conversation with you in English, there's always time where I feel like this word in Mandarin would be more suitable. So if the conversation is in, a mixture of both Chinese and English, that
Hmm.
would probably um, express myself in the most ideal way.
Yes. Were you raised by your mom in California?
Oh, so I was no.
Oh,
Uh my sister was in the state when I moved there. And we were living with my grandparents actually. And
and your
then
grandparents also speak Mandarin?
no, they're Japanese.
Okay, so they spoke in Japanese to you.
We speak like a mixture of Japanese, Mandarin, Taiwanese, and a little bit of English. So like a mixture of all kinds of language in the household.
So a
Um,
different language of your own.
Yes. So I do not speak Japanese, first of all, but I do understand a bit. They understand Mandarin a bit, but it was just like it's all growing up, it's always a mixture of all kinds of language. My parent, my dad and my grandparents, they speak Taiwanese, so like a dialect. So it's always like a mixture of Taiwanese with Mandarin and some Japanese word in it.
That's great. I mean, that probably says something too about how your identity was shaped. Because,
And so I was with my grandparents at first, and then later on I moved into an American host family who became my guardian. So
oh,
yeah, so it was like a very different background. At first I mean, born and raised in Taiwan, and then to California with my grandparents, and then moving into like a American family.
hmm.
So it's like a very, very different background.
And
It's
was
just
that
very
hard?
diverse.
I mean, moving into an American family that you didn't know, I'm
Yes,
presuming.
I did. Yeah. Um, at first, I before living with them, I did not think that I would have any problem adapting because I'm someone who's always adapting in different environments. So I thought it
Hmm.
would be easy at first, but after moving in for like a week, I actually call my mom and be like, "Oh, this is kind of different with what I thought." Um, Not because like they're very nice people, first of all, but it's just that I don't feel as comfortable being in that family. It might be because of the food or, cultural wise, but it was just like that very first few weeks, I would say. But after that, I was very comfortable with them and being with them.
And I'm glad you brought up food because I think, food also kind of a dividing thing in households, the way people nurture themselves. And so how did you overcome that? Were you able to eat the food you were used to?
So I guess like in Japan and Taiwan, we eat a lot of rice or noodles.
Yeah.
And I've been eating for those things for, like most of my life before living with an American family. And
Mhm.
so when I first moved in, I did not have rice for like 3 months or noodles. Which
Wow.
is very different from my culture because that's something that we eat
Yes.
every single day. Sometimes in breakfast as well, like every single day, 3 meals a day, that's something we eat. But
Right.
moving into that family, like I didn't get to have any of these things. Um,
So
which is
that's like
just
a
very different.
crisis.
It's just very, very, very different. But this is
Yeah.
also something that I never really thought of before moving in with them.
Hmm.
You wouldn't think about it. Like I was just like 14, 13. It wasn't something that was on my mind before moving in. But
Hmm.
after actually living with them, this is something that was huge. Like it was just very different. But
What were they eating instead?
mashed potatoes.
Whoa.
It's just very
I
different.
know. I'm not a
Um,
potato, I'm a rice person too, because where I come from,
yeah, so it's just
we
very
eat
different.
rice all the time. Yeah.
Yes. But they did. feel something, and they did ask me on how they could possibly improve on the food. And so I told them that, oh, I'm just more used to, having rice, having noodles, and they actually learned how to make rice for me. So
Great.
after that like conversation, they started to make rice for me. So at least I'll be able to eat like rice like 3 days a week or something.
But it took you 3 months before you said it.
Yes, but I thought I would be able to adapt to this kind of dietary, because at the end of the day, it's just, although it's not something that I'm used to, but it is food, like, and they taste good, so
Right. So it was hard to adapt.
it was at first.
Yeah. They, in fact, had to adapt.
Yes, to eating rice.
Yes. You had an impact on them because there were
Yes.
certain things that were pretty ingrained.
Hmm. The fact that they actually bought a rice cooker and
Oh,
like
they
rice,
did.
they did.
Wow.
They really tried to learn how to make rice for me, which I'm very grateful.
That's great. That's great. So the third question is about the role of technology in
Mm.
shaping who you are. Whether harmful or helpful, how and when did technology become a part of your life?
So, as someone from a Gen Z, um, I think technology and digital media have really played a significant role growing up. So, I was exposed to all these things in such an early age. It almost feel like I grew up alongside with these things. I remember getting my first iPhone. It was an iPhone 4 around grade 6 or 7. So, at around the age of 10, um, and then an iPad. So a lot of information that I consumed growing up came up from all these digital platforms, whether that was social media, online content, or just being constantly connected to these things. So yeah.
And so how did it shape you? In other
Mm.
words, what was the impact on you? Are you a different person because you grew up with this technology as a comprehensive part of your life?
Hmm. So I guess it's not just about being influenced by technology, but it's also about how consciously you choose to engage with it and like the intention you choose to use these things.
Mhm. And how did you? What
How did
intention are you using?
For me, it's just like um, exploring for different answers, um, looking for content that isn't something that I would expose to in my daily life. Because it's just like a road with all kinds of information that you could reach. Um, so yeah.
So which technologies do you use?
I would say AI. When I was studying linguistic and communication back in university, it was around the time that AI, especially like ChatGPT, started to become more widely known. And so I remember there was a lot of debates in school because some institutions were trying to prevent students from using these AI tools because they see it as something that's like an easy way out.
Hmm.
However, my program actually encouraged the opposite. So we were told that, this is something we need to learn how to adapt to it because
Hmm.
eventually, if you don't know how to use these tools, you will be left behind.
Mm.
And so I think this mindset really stayed with me till now. Um, like nowadays, I use AI quite a lot in my daily life, whether it's for work, for, organizing my thoughts or planning things more efficiently. It has become less of a shortcut and more of a tool for me to enhance on how I think and how I work.
Great. Are there any concluding thoughts that you have about who you are, what's most shaped you, and how you've overcome challenges in your life?
Mm. I would say like it's almost impossible not to be shaped by the technology. Like it definitely affects on how we communicate and how we see this world and even how we understand ourselves sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, the challenges that you're talking about, is it more like my personal life or is it more towards
Anything that
Mm,
really stands out as kind of maybe a turning point that um, really was you were this way and then you in fact became
mm,
different because of challenges that you had to overcome.
so like a challenge that sort of like shaped who I am in a way.
Yes.
I would say a turning point would be me choosing whether or not to stay in the state, so stay in California, or move to a brand new place like Canada, a brand new country, well, in high school. So after graduating from high school, like I did apply to schools in US and Canada,
Mhm.
um, but at that point, something that I have to face is, staying or putting myself in a new place, which at that time, my decision was coming to Canada. Uh, at first, it was more because my dad wanted me to, step out of my comfort zone to expose myself into like a different country. And
Mhm.
since they speak English in Canada as well, so it shouldn't be that hard. At first, I thought. But me as someone who was like 17, I wanted to stay because I wanted to stay in Cali because that's where all my friends and families are. But making that decision to, move to a brand new country without knowing anyone,
Mhm.
it was a huge challenge for me. And I think that has definitely shaped who I am these days because nowadays I love exposing myself into a changing environment and to quickly adapt to different things. So I think that's
Mhm.
like a turning point.
Great. Any concluding thoughts?
No, not really at the moment.
Okay, well, it was a great pleasure to have you on the podcast. I really enjoyed learning about you, and I hope you'll come back.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
And thank you for having me today.
my pleasure. Wonderful.